felt certain I left my computer in my car. Not there.
Oh, that's not good.
Nope. Hadn't seen it in about a month.
Since the last time we were here.
You have the proclamation.
Yeah.
I do, there's no one here unless James wants to, he can accept, I guess, MLK parade.
Yeah, I seen that on there. Did anybody? Let Kate know? Well, it's kind of early.
No one
They
told
might-
us to
they
do
might
it,
be here
it's
before
just, there were
6.
certain ones y'all told us to always do, and,
Oh.
Yeah, we don't. We can just read it.
yeah, you can read it, but, no, it's here for, the 6 o'clock meeting.
Okay.
They just come down and just accept it.
Lucy, do I still hit record on this one or not? Just the sound? Okay, make sure.
That silence kills me.
Yeah. Did Grant answer you? I don't know if we're gonna go ahead and start.
I'm trying to get everything cooled up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck on that one.
Yeah.
Get away with it when you're 3 years old. That's different usages.
I got a message from Grant Holt that he was on his way, he forgot his agenda packet, he'll be right back. Sorry. What happens when you have it on vibrate, you don't hear it. Yeah.
All right, we'll call to order this special meeting of the Navasota City Council at 4:33 p.m. Item 2, remarks of visitors.
No, sir.
Item 3, discussion on current vehicle replacement needs.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, so tonight we're going to continue the workshop discussion that we started back in October for this year's vehicle purchases. And Jay Chappelle, our Director of Maintenance Services, is going to go through a little presentation and the costs that the quotes that he's been able to compile together and recommendation for you tonight. I did want to kind of set the groundwork with just kind of a follow-up to the conversation that we had about our current relationship with the enterprise lease program. And just to, I guess, put on the record, nothing we're proposing tonight or nothing we're doing tonight changes our relationship with enterprise for the vehicles that are currently in that lease program. The recommendation from staff and the research that we've done suggests that we think it is more economically advantageous to the city to buy the vehicles outright. And so that is what we are recommending for this year. We're not stopping any leases that are mid-lease, any of those vehicles. We're leaving everything alone that's in the enterprise lease program. Our recommendation is that we just don't add any more to it this year. If for some reason, after we do this 1 year of purchasing vehicles, if we all collectively decide this wasn't the right move, we can go right back to and adding vehicles to the lease program, and we would own a few vehicles outright for their life, but we could go right back to the lease program. If we don't, then we can continue to buy vehicles year after year, and eventually that lease program would end because all the vehicles that are in the lease program would reach the end of their lease agreement. But just wanted to be clear that the recommendation tonight isn't any kind of a judgment on enterprise. It's simply that we feel like we're better served economically as a community by buying the vehicles this year so that we can continue to evaluate and make that assessment. We're not completely severing our engagement with them. All of the vehicles that currently exist on the lease program are going to continue to be serviced. We will continue to have those payments. We just won't be adding any new vehicles onto that lease program if the council chooses to move forward with the direction we thought we were getting from October, but we were told to bring back some more detailed information. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jay, and then we'll certainly answer any questions that you all have towards the end.
And they do have the handout in front of them tonight too.
Yes.
Yep. Thanks, Robin.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm going to start off by kind of recapping a little bit of what I went over in October as far as the current fleet vehicles that we have, both that we want to put up for auction and sell, as well as the ones that we would like to trade back into enterprise. If you look at that first page, the current fleet vehicles for sale, the top of that list are all vehicles that are currently owned by the city. The ones that are highlighted in yellow are the only 3 that are part of enterprise. They're 2017 vehicles. They are roughly 9 years old at this point. They are way out of their lease agreement timeline. So those are the first 3 vehicles that we're talking about not renewing with enterprise and basically selling those back or giving them back to enterprise for sale, and then we would take the proceeds back from those vehicles. So this is just a total breakdown of all the vehicles that we are expecting to replace on that list. The 3 vehicles at the bottom are all trucks, 2 F-150s and 1 F-250 crew cab with a service body. The values and the estimates that are on here are based on Kelley Blue Book value as well as the estimated values provided by Enterprise for those 3 vehicles. So that number at the bottom, 104,000, that is a pretty round number. It's a very generous estimate. Hopefully we can get very close to that, but it's all going to come down to how much we can get out of auction as well as how much Enterprise sells those vehicles for. They've been very transparent from what my research has shown. As far as when they sell a vehicle, we do get to see what that price looks like. So we will be on top of those 3 vehicles as we move forward.
A question, Jay.
Yes, sir.
With those 3 vehicles down at the bottom here, that's all of them is 2017.
Yes, sir.
So we will continue to make lease payments on those vehicles until they're sold?
That's a great question. I want to follow up with that. I'll circle back on that question just to make sure. I did not confirm that with Enterprise on my end. However, I will check to make sure. Yes or no. My assumption is that the answer to that is probably yes when we give it back. Actually, Jen, do you know? Okay. Because I know we have done trade-ins before to receive a new vehicle or given back a vehicle without replacing it. And
Most of the time on a lease, that's typically, it goes back at the end of the lease. lease.
Correct, and it's gone at that point. We are past the lease point, so I believe the correct answer to that should be no, we should stop making
if
payments
we're-
on those once it's out of our possession.
Okay, if we're at the end of the lease and we still have possession of the vehicles, are we still paying for the vehicles?
The maintenance fee, yes. Yes. Yeah, we are still paying a small payment for the maintenance fee. Yep. And I believe it's like $10 or $15 a month or something like that.
So actually, these vehicles are not costing us anything right now, but the
A
maintenance.
very small amount, plus maintenance. We are paying all the maintenance fees on these vehicles now. Any
And we-
oil change, anything that we have that goes through, we've been paying for those on these vehicles for quite some time since they've been out of the 36,000 miles or maintenance program for a while.
So
And that's kind of what we're running into on the next range of vehicles, right? The
Okay.
2018s, 19s, we're in that timeline.
make me understand this one. If these three vehicles is out of the lease and it's only costing us a small amount to keep these vehicles, why would we return them?
I mean, I think the main reason is because these are older vehicles that the updating of the vehicle is the goal, right? To get a newer vehicle that we can not have larger overhead of maintenance
So
costs.
these three
on these
vehicles is giving us maintenance problem?
They have, not necessarily maintenance problems. I don't know the full detail. I can't go back and look. I don't have the data in front of me, but I know we are currently servicing these vehicles. I know that F-250 crew cab has had some work done on it a few times. So I'd have to look into that a little bit more to see how much they're actually costing us. But the goal is to renew this list of vehicles with newer units that we can then put into our fleet. And then over the next 5 to 7 years, rotate those out as they go. So we still have value in these vehicles. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me when I'm starting here to think about it, that if the lease is expired on them or lived out its term,
Mhm.
I would think we would need to return the vehicle, sell the vehicle, or something. I can't understand them letting us keep the vehicle unless it's truly not a lease, but a purchase.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
It's elite. And so these are the oldest vehicles. They're from 2017. They were part of the first round of vehicles that were actually purchased by the city when this was signed up for. It's my opinion and my assumption these should have been traded in a while ago for a new vehicle, but they weren't on the list of vehicles that we were swapping out. You are correct though. We are past that
I can't
lease
believe
term.
They wouldn't.
It
They
should
just let
already
us
be.
keep these cars as long as we wanted.
Yes. I don't know
Without making a
I don't
payment.
100% know the answer to that question.
Like extending the lease or something. Yeah, I want that deal.
We all.
Well, they have a value. You stated a value there.
Yeah, that's the estimated value that Enterprise gave us back in October, November, their most recent estimated value of those vehicles, if we were to resell those vehicles or send them back for sale.
Another question there, Jay, is that, just say we give these vehicles back to them and they sell them or take them to an auction or whatever. The bid price doesn't start with what we have here, right?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure how Enterprise manages their bidding process. But these are, from what we were told and what we were informed, they are conservative numbers, but they're competitive. They do believe that they can get very close to those numbers, those estimated values. That's what they stated in their spreadsheet and what they stated in the data when they sent it over to us.
And I guess my next question would lead to, just say that that very first Ford F-150 that you got 1310. Just say they get 1310 for it.
Mhm.
What percentage would they get and then the city gets?
It's my assumption it's 100%.
They take a flat amount. I can't remember. It's like $600 or $800 off in for 400. Yeah.
Yeah, title. It's administrative fee, a $400 administrative fee to transfer the title.
And then everything comes back to us?
Yes, sir.
Seems like maybe we ought to be selling the vehicles there.
On these two that had the service body, the two trucks, was the service body part of the lease, or did we have the service bodies?
They were completely outfitted prior to
When we got,
delivery.
when we.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I didn't know if we could recycle
So-
the service body or.
The 2016 that's listed there, that is owned by the city. That is our truck. The 2017, the F-250 at the bottom, that's a part of the enterprise. And it's a 350 versus 250. This is why the value is higher on that 350.
What's the low end estimate?
I'd have to go back and look at the data. I didn't have it on the spreadsheet, but you're probably looking at about a 15 to 20% difference.
Okay, so
They didn't provide that on the enterprise vehicles. They just give us what their estimated
so
value is.
$80,000 maybe,
Mhm.
give or take.
Yeah. Do you have any questions, any other questions on these vehicles? I know we went through this last time, but just so you guys are clear in that department setup, that Expedition Max for 2011, you'll see that it's police department, animal control. Currently, right now, we are going to be transitioning the animal control vehicle, which is a truck that the city currently owns because of the repairs that were needed to be done on it. We're going to transition that back into a truck and give that to the airport as the loaner vehicle for the airport. Yep. And then we'll sell that Expedition. On the next list, you'll see there is an actual new truck that we are looking at purchasing for animal control that we can outfit properly with the bed that we have. On the next page is our proposed replacement vehicles to purchase. We contacted multiple vendors for this estimate. Silsby was one that was recommended to us by a consultant, and then Sames is one that we met at TML. After going through all the estimates and getting all the information back from them, Sames actually came back with better pricing, slightly better pricing on their vehicles. It'll save us roughly, 30 grand almost, or 27,000 for these vehicles that we have listed here. We are going as close to like for like as we had before. We're going a little bit smaller on a couple vehicles, a Colorado crew cab for the maintenance services, vehicle services, and then the Colorado crew cab for the janitorial. We're not doing full-size trucks on those. It's just not needed, a little more economic on our side. And then the swap out, the 2008 Toyota or Ford Taurus, we're looking to upgrade to a Toyota Camry hybrid. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's going to have a great resale value, and it will last much longer in the long run for the vehicle for what we're using it for. And then if you go down, you can look and see there's a handful of PD vehicles that are in here, mostly public works, and then the crew cabs for the Silverado with the service bodies. They're all 3500s. Only two of them are going to be four-wheel, and then we're going to do a dually for one for extra towing package. The dually actually did not come in that much more expensive than the four-wheel. All of these numbers that are listed here for those service bodies include the actual service body that's listed on the next page, which we'll go through. That page shows you the two different options for the service body. The top one is with a liftgate, and the second one was out of liftgate. This price is specifically from NAPED, once this includes installation, so when we receive the vehicle from the dealership, we will deliver this to them. They will install this for this price. So that price, that $12,805, because the liftgate was not requested by utility at this point. They wanted no liftgates on their trucks. So that price that's on the page prior includes that $12,000. It's the base price of the vehicle plus the $12,000. So that's where you get that $60,325 and $60,557.
Before you jump off those quotes, Jay, just Mayor and Council, just so you're aware also, in addition to the two cooperative purchasing programs, we did also personally reach out to the the dealerships here locally, and both on the Chevy and Ford side, they both communicated to us that with the transition to EAG ownership, they are not set up yet as fleet dealers, but they wanted to go ahead and go through that program, and we're hoping that in future years they'll be able to do this, but they knew they weren't going to be able to compete with these prices because of the fleet dealerships that the manufacturers give them and the government contracting. But they were going to go through the process and hope that they would be able to service our needs in future years. So just wanted you to be aware of that. We did reach out to them and have been talking to them.
I have a question, and I hate to think of this in terms of I just bought a car. Is there any reason we have to buy 2026s? Is there any cost savings in going with the 2025 or something that might be not brand new? I mean, is it necessary that we look at purchasing all brand new vehicles?
The reality is you get such a discount by going through the government contract. And generally speaking, when you use the government contract, those co-ops, they don't just sell you a vehicle off the lot. They custom build it after they get your purchase order. And so at this point, there's not a way for us to order a 2025 that will be custom built in the future. So they will all come in as 2026s. There are certain times, what I have seen, my experience is when you communicate with the salesman, if they happen to have one that they're trying to get rid of, they will tell us because they want to get rid of those that are on their lot. So oftentimes and they have been communicating with us. We had one, but unfortunately the only thing they had, we were looking for a crew cab pickup truck in red for the fire department, but the only thing they wanted to make us a good deal, but it was a 1-ton big old beast of a truck that the fire chief really doesn't want to drive every day. And I don't blame him. That's a big old truck that consumes a lot of diesel as well. And so but they will, the salesman generally will let us know if there's an opportunity there.
So what I hear you saying is that typically when a city goes to buy a new vehicle, they would buy a brand new vehicle through a fleet service versus buying something that's more outdated.
Correct. That usually results in a cost savings, even though it's brand new and the other one's already sitting there. Usually you can get a better price.
And through Enterprise, when we got those new vehicles, were they new as in the same year that we got them?
Yes.
They were always brand new.
Okay. And I have a question about the Chevrolet Equinox for records and evidence for the police department.
Mhm.
That is a vehicle that is just for records and evidence?
It's record. Evidence takes it to the DPS lab and all used in.
And that typically is taken in a records car, if you will?
Right now, we use the old Expedition when it's working, or they have to borrow a vehicle from CID or my truck or somebody else's vehicle.
So it's basically replacing that.
Correct.
Expedition.
That old Expedition.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we don't need anything extra large. That's why we
They
went
get
the smaller SUV.
Better mileage, better.
Oh, yeah, better mileage. And if they do go to trainings and they have that, then it's gas conservative and so forth, but it won't be marked. It won't have any equipment put on that one. And it's just going back and forth to the offices.
Any reason that we don't let them drive their own vehicle?
Well, you're transporting narcotics and other things like that. So that's probably one of the biggest ones when they're going to Houston, Austin, anything like
I was
that.
just thinking about they're going to the DA's office. I mean, if it's just to drive 10 miles down the road.
I haven't had the conversation here with Kerry, but I have with other legal counsels at other cities. And generally speaking, most of the time, legal counsel or human resources has cautioned against having employees drive personal vehicles on work business during the day. Kerry, any thoughts on that or?
There probably is a little extra element of complication, keeping up with mileage, potential liability perhaps, that sort of thing. What kind of shape is the vehicle in? You've got those sorts of things that could impact.
Evidence falls out and then.
But we look at the what ifs. What if this happened? What if that happened? A car crash?
Otherwise.
Yeah.
But the biggest one on our side is evidence. They're hauling any amount of narcotics is a felony. And then the scent now, odor is now in a personal vehicle. And if they have children or anything like that,
Yeah, sure.
some of that stuff. So that's the biggest one.
When they go into another jurisdiction and dog sniffs it.
You get stopped for randomly, and
Yeah.
they can explain it, but then
Yeah.
they're gonna ask, why are you in your personal vehicle
Sure.
instead
you
of a
are.
department vehicle?
All right.
Speaking of police and fire vehicles, if you look at that, do you have any other questions on this page in relation to these vehicles before I move forward? And FYI, in the packet, there is a detailed of every single one of these vehicles. You can see all the estimates that are in there. So you can see the packages that are in them and all that stuff, if you guys want to go through that. I wasn't going to go through each vehicle today, but you can look and see what options they provided. It's pretty basic. On the last page is the fire and police vehicle options. The vehicles shown were budgeted for purchase in the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Estimates for the police department were collected from 2 dealerships, Caldwell Fleet and Silsby Fleet. And the estimates for the fire department were collected from 2 dealerships, Sames Fleet and Silsby Fleet. Silsby came in as the lower option for the Tahoes. You can see there, they both came in at $56,387.50. Making the total about $112,775. And then the fire department, we looked at 2 different options for that, Silverado as well as an F-150 crew cab, both 4-wheel drive. The Ford came in substantially, well, not substantially, about $4,000 or $5,000 more. So we were looking at the Silverado. When you combined the single Silverado plus the 2 Tahoes, you're looking at about $155,000 for the 2, which is, and I believe the budget that was marked for the number that was on the 2025-2026 budget was $250 for those 3 vehicles. This number here, 154, does not include the upfitting charges that we also have to do for those vehicles. That is still in discussion as to what those costs are going to look like. This is just the base price for those 3 vehicles.
Are these vehicles here replacement vehicles or added vehicles?
So the fire department is a replacement vehicle. Because you currently have Enterprise truck, is that correct? No? Okay, so you just. Okay, we are not planning on auctioning that vehicle currently. That's going to be an added vehicle for fire department.
The Suburban?
No, it will be auctioned.
The 2009?
The Suburban that he's driving is going to auction.
Okay, that's not on my list of
That's
vehicles.
correct.
Okay, yeah. So that's not on the list of vehicles that we're replacing. It has already been budgeted in, so I did not have it on a list of vehicles that we are replacing, but it will be auctioned.
Okay, so, and what about the PD? Is those replacement or added?
The PD, are those replacement or added? Mike? I believe they're added.
Those are the 2 2017 Ford SUVs that were under the original very first vehicles from Enterprise. So they are replacing, we're getting rid of the 2 2017 Ford SUVs for the Tahoes.
Okay, so we're just returning 2 and buying 2.
Replacing Explorers.
Correct. Those are yes, they're the very first when we started this program. We still have those. And on that end, it's maintenance is the big issue.
How many of the Explorers are there?
So in 2017, we started off with 5, and those are the last 2 that are left. There's a 2019, and then we have some 2020s, and then 22 is the last of the Explorers.
I think the last time I checked, there's like 6 2019s or 2020s, and just a couple on the other side. I think there's like 9 total still left.
9 2017s?
No, just Ford Explorers.
No, so on these two, the Tahoes on the original budget was to replace the two old Ford Explorers. That was what the budget was on that end, for these two Tahoes.
So those two is not on page one, Jay?
No, sir, they're not.
So will they be added to page one?
Yeah, yes, sir.
as
I
we
just
go
made a
through the
note on
auction.
mine too. Yeah, with those three vehicles, the Suburban and those two Expeditions, we'll add to the vehicles ultimately that we will be selling. And it sounds like two of them will be sold by Enterprise, and one of them, the Suburban, will be sold by us.
Well, and anything we add to that total will be going back towards, obviously, this budget item to pay for these vehicles as we move forward, to supplement the cost.
Also, let me ask another question here. I think we told out two vehicles this past year, right? PDs,
Yes.
Ford truck and Expedition, Tahoe.
Yes, Sergeant Butler's Tahoe and then the Ford truck.
So how did Enterprise handle that? Did they replace those vehicles or what happened?
So we're still working on the Tahoe. Insurance is doing that one on that. And actually, TML's calling to pick up that Tahoe now. The other truck we did receive a check for that one, and that's where one of the trucks in this list will be replacing that. It was, what number? What page?
New CID.
So basically, one of that was a CID vehicle that was not being used. They were transporting the drugs evidence to the Houston lab, and it was, right?
It's a police department new CID, the 2026 Silverado 1500 crew cab.
So on the Tahoe that was total, we're still making payments on that?
We actually were questioned on that one the other day asking, and that's what we were looking into, because that with the insurance and trying to figure out, has Enterprise been charging us the monthly payments on that vehicle or not? And I think we did get that check now to pay it off, like from Enterprise.
There was some issue with the title. The insurance company didn't want to, or wouldn't release the funds until they received the title. Enterprise said they wouldn't release the title until they received the funds. So it took longer than we expected, but they got it all figured out. And so now I think that's coming to a resolution.
I think it has to be finally resolved now.
Is that another argument for buying versus leasing?
We believe so.
Because if I'm thinking right, if they did not replace the vehicle right then, we was without a vehicle.
Right.
And if we had bought it outright, I guess we could have bought one and dealt with the insurance
That's correct.
after that.
Right. And in most cases, the insurance would provide a loaner car or something along those lines, or would pay it off. If we've got the title, we hand it to them, they pay it off. We go and buy ourselves a replacement vehicle, or at least get it on order much quicker. And in this case, like Kristen was just saying, what we found was a lot of finger pointing. The insurance said, well, it took 9 months to send you a check because we've been asking for the title, and Enterprise wouldn't send us the title. Titles still all of our vehicles still remain with Enterprise. They wouldn't send us the title. And Enterprise says, well, we're not going to give them the title until we get our payment, but they expect us to keep paying every month. So they're delaying the process by not giving the title and getting a check from us every month for the vehicle. And it just, we're stuck in the middle as the customer. And it just, yes, to us, to Councilman Gessner's point, to us, that seemed like one more point for why maybe it's better for us to just own the vehicles and control our own fleet, control our own destiny, so to speak, and when things like this occur.
Well, and we never really had any staff that was focused in on this either.
Right.
As a priority.
And we have talked to the dealership, and they are willing to do the warranty work for us.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, they know that they're right here. They're definitely, you don't have to buy from a particular dealership for them to honor the warranty. So yes, both the Ford and the Chevy, depending on the model that we buy or the make that we buy, they will absolutely have service department available to us that we can take the vehicles to for warranty work. And the hope is that they'll get set up as fleet dealers and we'll be buying from them directly next year and then keeping everything local.
And is the guy from Enterprise here?
No.
I didn't see him.
Unless Commissioner Raska wants to work for Enterprise.
I don't think you want that job.
But you made a good comment about managing, right? So Jen and Mike and team have actually done a really good job of maintaining the relationship with Enterprise since they took it over. I believe that relationship, like Robert said at the very beginning, is still a good relationship. They're very communicative. They take care of what they need to take care of when they are asked. I have not asked a lot of them in the last few months since this subject has been approached, but they are still obviously willing to work with us. They're still communicating with us. It's not a sour situation, but they have definitely, Jen and Mike have done a very good job of making sure that our fleet was maintained and taken care of to the best of their ability. And Enterprise was good to work with in that respect. It's just, we feel it's a better solution for us to own than to lease moving forward.
Jay, not putting you on the spot or anything, but look like we've got 55 minutes, so you got 55 more minutes to talk. Can you give us just an overview of, since you're going to be over all the vehicles here in the city, of exactly what you got in mind that you want to accomplish?
So looking at the facilities that we currently have, we are going to be limited in the very beginning of what we can do for general maintenance. There is a new lift in the budget that I would like to pursue with Paul at the shop to be able to at least get that started and get a new lift installed so we can better maintain the vehicles that we currently have. The fortunate thing is, because we're buying brand new vehicles, there won't be a lot of new maintenance we'll have to do. It'll be mainly oil changes, tire rotations, small minor things. The police vehicles obviously get a lot more mileage on them than our public works vehicles. So they're going to need a lot more attention. But in order, if we can update the facility properly, we should be able to maintain this small number of vehicles while we are still in our enterprise lease agreement. And then we can start working towards what our next few-year goal is on possibly building out the facility to be able to maintain more vehicles, or doing upgrades on new buildings or anything that we can do to kind of expand our fleet maintenance moving forward. Because right now we're talking about 11 to 15 vehicles, manageable with the staff that we have. When we start to grow, we will need to grow staff. We will need to get a better facility update. And those are things that I foresee us doing over the next few calendar years as we grow into owning our own fleet. It's not concrete because the facility that we currently have is okay, but we are going to need probably a little more room to manage that. So we will discuss our options on those moving forward and come up with better ideas of how we can manage that as we get there. But I feel confident with what we have right now. We can move forward with these vehicles and maintain them over the next few years while we flesh out what our fleet maintenance will look like for the future of Navasota. It will include not just fleet, but also equipment. Small equipment all the way up to large equipment. So we have a lot of work that obviously needs to get done on backhoes and excavators and all kinds of things that we'll be using in the future. So we need to make sure that we're planning for that as well as we grow. So growth is the key.
Mayor Council, just want to remind you, we do have an agenda item that I think we're starting to stray a little bit from that agenda item in terms of
gotcha.
the equipment and that sort of thing.
Yep. That's future, just planning ahead. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Hopefully.
Yes. Okay. I thought it was a workshop. We can talk about it.
This still has to be on the agenda.
With the vehicles.
I'm sorry?
I said it's pertaining to vehicles, right?
Yes, but Jay was starting to get into equipment and those sorts of things and facilities, and I think there's some nexus there, but I just caution you to make sure it's related to the agenda item.
I think that was the end. Do you guys have any other questions relating to the vehicles I've proposed today?
I guess back to the very first page, I'm still hooked up on those bottom three there. If we return them back to enterprise and,
Sure, yeah, okay.
well, let me finish with my question and then maybe that will help you answer. Okay. My thought was that if we think that we're gonna have to pay enterprise $401 or $410 or whatever it is like that, is there a way that we can just pay them that $400 and plus and keep the vehicles without giving them back to them?
I don't know the answer to that question.
The answer is yes. We can buy them outright from them. They will transfer the title to us at that point, because we did ask them in one of the meetings with them. The reality is then we are buying, although we are just perpetuating ownership of a 9-year-old vehicle that we know from history, when vehicles start getting to that time frame, you start having more maintenance. So the continued operation is going to be much more costly than operating a new vehicle.
Well, my thought was that if we pay them the $400 plus dollars, we turn around and then sell the vehicle and we got control over what we get for it, instead of they having control over what they get for it.
That's true. I will tell you that the dollar amounts that they've shown us that they get for vehicles, I've not ever seen a city realize those kind of dollar amounts at city auctions. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they just seem to have better connections with disposing of vehicles just because of the vast nature of their operation. But I even had a colleague, a consultant that we had that used to be a fleet services director at a large city that did a lot of auctions. And he said he never came close to the kind of numbers that Enterprise gets for their vehicles that they sell. And so I think it's better for us financially to let them sell them for those vehicles that are in their program. Let them sell them, we take the proceeds, and then we move on down the road with owning the vehicles ourselves, because we've already invested in that program. Let them go ahead and dispose of them and take the what appears to be the higher sale amount. We are able to do exactly as you're referring. I just wanted to be sure that I was upfront with you that my personal belief is we would not get what they would for sale, just because we don't run car auctions all day, every day.
It would probably be more of a risk.
I think it would.
And they do have a very large net that they cast for these vehicles, which is probably why they can sell them for a larger amount than what we would get from the.
Yeah, because they ship them all around the country then on car haulers, whereas for us, we're really going to only sell to someone who wants to come here and pick it up.
Yeah, well, I guess, and two is that if we go this route that you're presenting tonight is to next year when this comes up, if you think we could have got more from them, I guess we can always do different.
Absolutely. Or, I was just going to throw out there, I don't know that we're going to be able to compare apples to apples, but there's 2 F-150 crew cabs on here.
On page one?
On page one, the second and third lines from the bottom, that look like very similarly situated vehicles. Now, they have very different mileage and they've been used very differently, and that's why you see that Enterprise has even estimated their value, one at $8,000 and one at $13,000. But if you all wanted us to, we can keep one of those. And we can throw it in with our auction, and we can see what we get for it, and we can see what they get for that same year and model vehicle, and then we can compare and we can decide. But I think I really don't know that any upside outweighs the risk that we would be seeing, because my belief is we would get closer to that $5,000 and $6,000 number that we put on most of the vehicles that we're going to be selling, as opposed to 13, 15,000 like they're estimating.
How would we sell them, and who's responsible for actually making all that happen? So we're tying up somebody's time to. So
historically here, my understanding is, and the police chief may need to walk back, the police department has overseen those, and has a relationship. Is it Gov Deals? gov.com, gov something, govdeals.com. We have an account. We do our auctions. And so, as a matter of fact, I think there is some seizure equipment that's being auctioned right now. Chief has been working with the directors, putting together a list of surplus property to probably bring to you all, maybe even the next council meeting, or in February. In February, it's coming to a council meeting. It'll be on an agenda for you all to approve the disposition of surplus city property by govdeals.com. And so we have an account. We were used to doing that, and we're going to add these vehicles to it, and go that route. And that's how it's been done historically. Not that we couldn't hire in an auctioneer, we could hire someone out. Again, all of that comes with a cost, or they take a percentage off the top. And if you all think, or we all think we can do a better deal with hiring a consultant or letting someone else take, 3% because they've got a wider net. Again, all of those things are open. We're just proceeding forward with what has
That's the reason I was
historically
asking
been done.
is,
Yes, sir.
even if we did it ourselves, there's still potentially cost out there that's overhead and we're having to pay. So might as well just let the people that do it regularly do it, in my mind.
Yeah, they have, running through the online auctions, they do have their percentages that they pull out because it's using their website and so forth like that. But they're across the nation, but then you have a car one that does it, and that's what they're known for is car sales.
Well, like you said, they cast that wider net.
Correct.
They're just something I was thinking about a second ago, like on Butler's vehicle, for example. Will we be able to utilize the equipment? Or was it?
I'll tell you on that
Kind of
vehicle,
damage with it.
there is, nothing in that vehicle or on that vehicle that is salvageable. We went through everything on that vehicle. And if we found something, we sent it off to see if it was salvageable. And there's not a single piece of equipment on or outside that vehicle is salvageable.
And then CID vehicles don't have near the amount of equipment that a patrol vehicle has, right?
No, they're unmarked, so they just have lights. The radios, we do have the radios, already. The only thing is a couple of, we talked about earlier, controllers, and then the labor, and that we're actually, the vehicles that we would strip down, we go through the lights and see what's still salvageable, and we try to use as much as we can to save the cost on that.
And even with Enterprise, we were doing that separately anyway.
Correct. Try to use whatever we can to pass down that still fits in between each year model, because they do change a lot.
This is just a workshop, correct?
Correct. There is an action item on tonight's agenda, actually two action items, because we have two different programs that we're buying from, or two different dealerships. So we split it just to be clean, each action item to each different dealership.
On the first page on the police animal control, old truck,
Yes, sir.
are we gonna keep the body of that, or?
Yes, our plan is to keep the body that was made by TDCJ several years, 25 years ago. The thing with that one, it's a 4-cylinder vehicle. It can barely, the engine can't handle all that, so we're upgrading to the V8. That's why I think it's perfect for the airport. It's a 4-cylinder, it can move around real good.
If we still have the old bed from that truck, it's on a trailer at the shop. We are going to put that bed right back on that truck. That way we can put it to the airport.
So now, is this old bed here, is this gonna be able to fit one of the new trucks?
Yes, so we're going to be able to get the new truck, bring that bed off, and we're going to just fabricate. It's basically a couple of angle iron pieces they have on there. We'll probably just have to move it out a little bit, move it in a little bit to bolt right up to the new frame. We ordered the same size, basically bed six-foot bed, I believe, and then it's gonna fit right on there. Just a little bit of fabrication, not much, a little bit of welding.
You
And we're
gonna do
gonna go back to TDCJ and
CTE?
ask them. Sir,
I said, are you gonna do that?
oh, no. I don't know. If I can fit in my schedule, that's gonna happen probably next year.
We're
So
gonna see if the kids at the CTE program can help us
That's
do that.
perfect.
Yeah, sure.
relying on ASD a lot to.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to save that cost because that was special built by the inmates and we pay for that, but I think it'll fit right back on there, just a little bit of fab. The only other thing we'd add is the rear camera has to be changed out and that, and then the lights are gonna move over, so real simple on that one.
Jay, on the second page, on the Toyota Camry Hybrid,
Yes, sir.
is that electric?
It's a hybrid, so it's half and half. It's got gas and, it's the traditional hybrid. It's not a full-on electric, yeah. It charges itself while it's driving, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't have to set up EV capabilities at the shop or anything like that for it. It takes gas. It just gets like 48 miles to the gallon. So it's a very economic vehicle.
I can tell you from my experience in insurance that changing over to some of these Colorados and things like that, we're gonna probably see a little savings on insurance too. See a lot of fleets going to those Colorados.
All right.
Anything else?
Anything else, guys? Thank you, guys.